your biggest problem for 2026, which I think everyone has. Everyone that's watching this has the exact same problem. And I'll tell you what it is here in just a second, but let me set this up. So about 15 years ago, I'm 57 now, so I was around 42 years old. I had come to this really big bottom in my life, had some life events happen that had me literally bottoming out. And then prior to that, for those prior, 42 years, or let's just say 35 or whatever, I walked around with this low-level anxiety that kind of traveled with me everywhere. I mean, it wasn't completely debilitating. I could still get through life fine. I had my relationships were fine. I did well in school. Anyway, I made money and all that. But it was always traveling with me. It was kind of this undistinguished anxiety that kind of traveled around with me everywhere. And I had all different types of ways of dealing with that, of solving for that, whether it was anything from exercise to sex to, food, alcohol, whatever it would be. These are were my strategies to kind of avoid the next anxiety or avoid being more anxious and, just try to smooth out the terrain of my life. And around 42, it came to a head. It all came to a head to where I was at this bottom where I had no idea that every single cell in my body could suffer. And at that time, for the previous maybe decade, one of the strategies I would employ to try to deal with this little anxiety I had was all this self-help world. I mean, every self-help world. I started with Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now. Then I moved, Anthony DeMello and awareness, and then, some of the Wayne Dyer stuff and the Tony Robbins stuff, and it just kept coming. And I would just drink it in. It became kind of an addiction. And then one day, when I was 42 and I was at the bottom, and I read something, and it hit me. All of this stuff is bullshit. All of this stuff is doing one thing. It's trying to improve me. Me was the problem. I saw something that I'd never seen before. Now, what do I mean by that? Everything that I was doing up to that point was to improve me, to make me better, to essentially make myself this bigger, stronger, faster me. But what I never questioned in the beginning was, wait a minute, is me even real? Am I actually trying to improve an illusion? And from that point, at that exact point, all my self-help books, all these things that I've been doing for the last previous decade, I literally threw them out the window, just tossed it, got rid of it, and settled into a new understanding. And it's this new understanding, believe it or not, I wrote this little book about this new understanding. It's called A Cloudless Mind. And look, if you think I'm trying to sell you something, I'm not. I'll tell you in a minute why I'm not trying to sell you anything. But what my purpose here is to give you a possibility that you hadn't considered as you go through your life and you try to improve yourself. But maybe it's not necessary. Maybe what you're trying to do is actually making it worse, making the me bigger, and the me actually doesn't even exist. Now, I know a lot of what I'm saying makes no sense to anyone here. It makes zero sense, and it can't to most of our brains. But what I'm presenting to you is a possibility that you can give up all of the self-improvement. I've said this before. Self-improvement is masturbation. Self-destruction, now we're getting somewhere. What if what our real work is to obliterate me and then let life flow? So I know, again, I'm throwing this out there because I know it makes little sense to anyone. But what I ended up doing is I ended up going down a path of something called non-duality. And non-duality is it's not a religion, it's not a model, it's not a process, it's none of that. It's basically a pointing to what I think is the truth of our reality. Now, there's a lot of woo-woo stuff that people want to put around oneness and this, that, and the other. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about raw, real truth-telling that's hard to get to, but once you can get to it, you actually can't even get enough. And as I said earlier, I actually wrote a little book about this called A Cloudless Mind. It's a really short book that I wrote really for myself at the time, to sort of amalgamate all of these new learnings and teachings that I had in one little book that I still continue to read, and that I am constantly referring to even this day to remind me of what my real mission is, which is to see the truth of me. So I know this might sound a little rambly, and it might not make any sense to anyone, but to those who are like at the end of the self-help, whatever, parade or continuum or whatever you want to call this thing, you may want to consider looking into the teachings and the understandings of non-duality. Now, I don't ever even mention non-duality in this, because this is what I used to use to screen some of my client work. I would give them the clients to read that and see if they were interested. But I'm offering this out now, and it's in the link in my bio. And here's what I want to say about this. It costs $10. If you can't afford it, but you still want these understandings, I want you to email me in my bio. There's an email thing right in my bio. It says email, and say, look, I'd like a copy of this book. I can't afford it right now. Please just give me, just send a copy to me, and I'll do it without question, without any judgment. I'll be happy to email anyone who wants a copy of this and can't afford it. If you can't afford it, go ahead and pay for it. It's $10. It could change your entire life. But start the new year with a possible new understanding. Everything may be different after this. And so keep following along here. I'll be talking about this over and over and over for the months and years to come. And, maybe we can all obliterate ourselves together. Have a great day and a great new year.